Hello and welcome to this 16-lesson video series that'll help you get started with Visual C# 2005 Express Edition. These lessons and the accompanying document with supplemental readings are designed to take someone who is a complete novice, who has never written any code before, or maybe has just written a little code a while back, and help them be productive in writing real-world applications within a few hours. Now, if this describes you, you're in the right spot. If you're already an experienced developer or an experienced .NET developer, quite honestly, there will probably be better ways for you to spend your time. If you're looking for videos on advanced concepts or on new features in Visual C# 2005, Visual Studio 2005, or any of the latest development products from Microsoft, please navigate to www.learnvisualstudio.net for instructional video tutorials aimed at all skill levels. So if you're just getting started, the aim of this series is to help you become productive quickly. With that as our goal, please keep in mind that there are many concepts that I'll either gloss over or just ignore completely, so you may want to use this resource as a good introduction. However, the videos are not intended to replace reference books or online help that comes with Visual C# 2005 Express Edition, so I recommend at the end of this series of lessons to also dedicate yourself to other books, online resources, or even my website, www.learnvisualstudio.net, for more instructional videos to help you come to a more complete knowledge of Visual C#, the C# language, and application development. Developing software, especially with a language like C# and a software application like Visual C# 2005 Express Edition, is a lot of fun. Sure, it can be a little intimidating at first, but if you just take a little bit at a time, just like everything else in life, you'll start seeing results. Now, in my mind, there's nothing more gratifying than imagining some software application that I want to build and seeing it begin to come together, working through the problems and the hurdles, and then finally seeing the end result and letting others use it. I hope after this series of lessons, you get infected by the programming bug and begin to realize how exciting this can really be. Okay, it's time to get started. The lessons are arranged in the following way. Lessons 1 through 3 focuses on the workflow of building applications and getting comfortable with how to navigate around the Visual C# 2005 interface. Lessons 4 through 7 will focus on the C# programming language itself, as well as an introduction to the .NET framework. Lessons 8 through 11 will focus on working with data, displaying data from data sources like a database or an XML file, and handling the errors that come up in your application while it's running. And then lessons 12 through 16 will demonstrate the creation of an entire application from beginning to end, involving design, development, testing, and then deploying your application. The application that we'll build in the last 5 lessons will be an RSS reader. Now, if you're not familiar with the term RSS, that stands for Really Simple Syndication, and it's one of the latest trends on the internet. It allows websites, especially those websites that update their content frequently, like blogs, for example, to publish a short description of new articles as they're posted on the website. So users can subscribe to an RSS feed, which is basically a URL that points to a file on the web that contains the title of the article, a description of the article, a hyperlink so people can read the actual article. Now, to subscribe to a feed, the user is going to need a program that knows how to interpret an RSS feed, the special format that's used. Then it needs to periodically check each news feed that the user subscribed to so that it can determine if any of his favorite websites have new content available. So many popular websites have these little orange buttons with the word RSS or sometimes XML. This lets you know that an RSS feed is available for that website. Now, in our application, we're going to allow the user to subscribe to RSS feeds, which we're going to call channels. Then our application can be used to monitor those RSS feeds. And we'll have some other functionality as well, like being able to split up our feeds into various folders. So we'll be able to add, edit, and delete folders, and within a given folder we'll be able to add, edit, and delete channels, and then for a given channel we'll update it in order to find all the news items for that channel, and then we'll be able to click through. As you can see over here on the left hand side, I'm looking at the titles for the news items, and then on the right hand side I can view the full title, the description, the data was posted, and then I have a little browser window where I can look and see a little bit more about that web page that it's pointing to, and I can even click this little expand button here, which will pop open a web browser that allows me to view the page full screen if I'd like to. But we have a lot of information to cover before we get to this point. But I wanted to dangle a carrot out in front of you so that you stay engaged in this series of lessons. Just about everything we learn in the next 10 lessons will build up to creating that application. So make sure you understand each concept before moving on. So let's get started by talking about the basic steps of creating applications. And we'll begin by creating the most simple application we possibly can. All we want to do is create a Windows application. It's also known as a Windows Forms application. And on it we'll add a single button to the form that is created by default for us. And when the user clicks our little button, we're going to display a pop-up message that says, "Hello World." Now, Hello World is kind of the universal first program that you always build regardless of the programming language or the programming tool, because it helps you see the entire workflow of creating a program without having to introduce too much complexity so early into the learning process. So let's begin by going to File, New Project, and in the New Project dialog we're going to select Windows Application as the template that we'll begin with. Now we're also going to change the name from Windows Application 1 to Hello World, and then we'll select the OK button. And it takes a moment or two, but what C# is doing at this point is creating a template for a Windows application. So by default, after a moment or two, what we'll see is a form that'll pop up with nothing on it. Now at this point we have a complete Windows application. Let me do this just to prove that point. I'm going to use my mouse cursor and go to this little button. This is the Start button. This allows us to run our application in what's called debug mode. It allows us to see what the application will do if we were to stop right now and compile it and give it to a friend. Let's go ahead and hit Start. And the program is compiling right now. And as you'll see, what you have is a complete Windows application. Admittedly, it doesn't really do anything at this point, but you have your form, and on the right-hand side you have your typical Windows control box, and to minimize, to make it full screen, or to bring it back to its original size, and also to